Today we'll discuss about outcome-based education. The UGC University Grants Commission in 2019 has introduced the outcome-based education. We have been going through different types of education like the Western type of education, Eastern type of education, etc. So how our curriculum should be, how the curriculum should be transformed to the students, the structure of transforming the curriculum to the students, we are going to see today. So nowadays we are the UGC as well as the whole educational scenario has focusing on outcome-based education. So what is outcome-based education? Outcome-based education, otherwise called as standards-based education. The theory behind the standards-based education is nothing but it is based on the outcomes. The focus of OBE is based on the outcomes. Outcomes are the goals. So we'll discuss about what is OBE, what is the traditional type of education, what is outcome-based education. So in the traditional form of education, we have been talking about the achievements in terms of grades. In terms of grades. But whereas in outcome-based education, we focus on the outcomes in terms of knowledge and skills. When we say knowledge and skills, what the students has got in her is measured in terms of her skills and knowledge. So the focus is mainly, focus of outcome-based education is mainly on outcomes and not inputs. The traditional system of education is based on inputs, where in the classroom situation, we make the students to give their inputs. We try to give them the textbooks. We try to give them the textbooks, the teaching learning strategies, and we also give the assessment in terms of inputs for the students. Whereas in the outcome-based education, the focus is based on the goals, where we concentrate mainly on the knowledge and the skills of the students. This is where we are trying to talk about the learning objectives. Learning objectives are the learning outcomes. So this learning outcomes should be concretely measurable. That is what is outcome-based education. So in outcome-based education, the learning objectives or the learning outcomes should be SMART. So what is the meaning of SMART? The outcomes should be specific. The outcomes should be measurable. The outcomes should be attainable. The outcomes should be relevant, and it should be time bound. So our curriculum framework should be like this. That is, it should be SMART. SMART meaning it should be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So the outcome-based education is mainly focusing on the outcomes or the goals, where the learning objectives or the learning outcomes is based on this SMART. that is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. Now we try to understand what is the difference between this outcome based education and the traditional education, which we can concentrate on three major steps. That is, one is curriculum, the second one is teaching learning, or you can say concentrate on the teaching process. The third one, you can talk about the assessment. Here we are trying to understand what is outcome based education and what is the traditional education in terms of these three areas. One is curriculum. In the traditional education, the curriculum is passed on from generation to generation. The curriculum structure is like that. The classroom is like that. The teacher comes and takes the class, gives the notes, gives the necessary inputs for the students, and so the curriculum was like that. Whereas in the outcome based education, it should be, we have said that the learning objectives nothing should be specific. This should be smart, or learning outcomes should be measurable, etc. So in the case of outcome based education, it is need based, based on the students needs and based on the present situation, the curriculum is changing. So what is the teaching process in the case of outcome based education and traditional education? In the case of the traditional education, as I told you, in the teaching process, what we try to do is we give the information, we give the inputs in terms of knowledge, books, etc. We are also try to give them the knowledge resources, etc. Whereas in the outcome based education, the teaching process itself is based on the concrete measure. That is, we make the students to understand their skills and do something in the classroom, and thereby you try to get the outcomes from the students. That is what is outcome based education. Whereas in the assessment, in the case of traditional education, we try to get the grades of the students. How we grade the students? We try to give them some exams, try to mark their achievements in terms of mark sheets. So we will know who got the first rank, who got the second rank, who got the third rank, etc. Whereas in the outcome based education, the assessment is nothing but level based. That too, there won't be any failing of the student in this outcome based education. There won't be any failing. So it's nice not to have failure of any student in the classroom situation. What is the meaning of that? That is, each one with their capacity, with their knowledge and with their skills will pass on the levels. See, if I have a capacity to finish some task within certain time, I can finish it. I don't compare the other student what she is doing. I try to focus myself on my talents, on my skills, and try to attain my goal. My focus is based on the outcomes or the goals where I follow all these situations. If I try to finish certain task within some time, I don't concentrate on the other student doing anything, but concentrate on finishing a task within certain time, then go for the next level of task. So it is performance based also. Performance based tasks are followed in the assessment in the case of outcome based education. So outcome based education has become the trend of today's learning outcome based curriculum framework. Outcome based curriculum framework. Yes, thank you.